Do you ever think about going back in time and saving your mom?
No, my mom's alive.
Yeah, I mean, save her from marrying into our family.
This is Just Cuz episode 2.
Just Cuz, the podcast with two cousins talking about whatever we want. Just Cuz.
Just
Today
cuz
we
we
are
want to.
just cuz we want to. Today we are talking about the Flash movie, the brand new movie that has been in production for I don't know how many years. A
I
long,
think
long
it's
time.
it's like tied with Avatar 2 as the most delayed movie ever. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's some other indie movie that has that actual title, but it's the most well known.
It's been in the news for ages about how many times it's been delayed or shelved or about to be shelved. Who knows? But
How
it's
many
finally out.
how many directors have left it? I think at one point the directors of the new Dungeons and Dragons movie and Game Night were supposed to make this movie, but then they left for creative reasons.
I can see that.
It's a very similar tone. But yeah, anyway, we haven't really talked about this movie at all. So
At all.
I just want to start this off. What did you think of it?
That's a tough question for me. um, I I enjoyed myself while I was watching it. There are some things that I didn't like about it, but there were some things that I did like about it. Overall, oh, this is really tough. I think it was a really fun movie, not a very good movie.
Yes. And honestly, I was hoping that you would convince me it was better than what I thought it was. So you having that viewpoint, I definitely enjoyed this movie a whole lot. Right from the get-go, this is just going to be a fun movie. And it was. But I have definitive problems with it as we near the third act. And I think we should also right off the get-go say, what happened with the VFX?
Oh my God, thank you. Okay, the first note that I wrote, I was originally not going to go in taking notes because I didn't take notes when I watched Spider-Verse. And I was like, I can remember this stuff. It's a great movie. And then the second he started running, I pulled out my phone. I was like, I have to write this down. The effects, I'm so sorry, but they don't look any better than the CW Flash show. They
No.
look
I
fucking
mean,
terrible.
clearly it does look better. It's a cut above because it's for
Yes.
cinema, but what happened? It's like it
It
wasn't
looks
finished.
it looks like a cartoon. It looks like a video game. And every single fight scene, you can see it, especially the one at the end. We're not there yet, but at the end, every single character looks like they're just made out of ones and zeros and not actual people.
And I think the real problem is the rubbery, uncanny valley faces. It's every time, and it really, really pulls you out of it. But
Yeah,
that
and it's
is
their
to
mouth
say,
moving.
yeah, there is emotional moments in this movie, and it really does hit, and the VFX do hit when they need to, but that's rare, especially considering that there's at least more than a few moments where the Flash is running in super speed and everything needs to look amazing, and it just doesn't.
Just does not. It looks like, I'm sorry, it looks like the CW.
Yeah. So
And you
I
know what? Props to the CW then. We weren't giving them enough props for their
no,
special
they were a
effects.
TV show budget. I don't know how they did it because it did look pretty good for a TV show. And maybe that is another problem with this movie is audiences, at least a very specific part of the audience that watched the original TV show of The Flash, not the 90s one, but the current one. We've already been inundated with The Flash and his storylines and his character. So this isn't a new experience for us.
It's not, but we were also primed for a very different kind of Barry Allen from that. And obviously, this Barry Allen has been in other movies, but he's never been the focus. And now that he is, it's It's quite a lot. It's
Yeah.
quite a lot. Um, I think I wrote on one of my very early notes was I really like this interpretation of Barry and his social awkwardness. It's very, and then I wrote dot dot dot, and then under that I wrote, but I also kind of hate it.
They make a lot of good choices in this movie. I think right off the bat is when they show that he has like a calorie intake reading machine, and it's like, yeah, this guy with godlike power who can basically be omnipresent, like that's how fast he is. You gotta lower that godlike
Yeah,
power
yeah.
somehow.
He needs to eat constantly.
Yeah, and I do
And
like
I
that.
I think that's definitely an aspect, not to constantly compare it to the CW show, but that's an aspect that they seriously underplay in the TV show The Flash, which I love because I always like that about The Flash. And I think it's so funny that he's just constantly
Yeah.
starving. Um, I had a lot of expositional issues with this movie. I had a lot of dialogue issues with this movie. The place where it stands out to me the most is Iris's introduction in the beginning, and it was just completely fumbled. I was like, who wrote this? This is incredibly like robot talking to other robot dialogue.
And it's, you have to get out the exposition about his dad, what's going on with his family, and to
It's
have
basic
Iris do that.
Yeah, it's basically like, how are you? Oh, good. How are you? We know each other from college. Oh, yeah, we stopped talking to each other when I became a reporter and asked you about your dad or something like that. And I was just like, why? Why did you do this?
I don't
It took me right out of the movie.
I did like the line of, I pretty sure I saw you a year ago, and it's just like, oh no, I guess maybe I was thinking about you. Like I felt like that was kind of cute, as if they were setting up that relationship, but there was really nothing else
There was
to really set it up.
absolutely there was absolutely no chemistry between the two of them, and you know nothing about Iris as a person from that.
No.
All you know is the expositional drivel that they set up about his dad and the fact that they know each other and the fact that later alternate universe Barry will be like, "Oh, are we going to marry her someday? I'm going on a date with her." Whatever. Like obviously anyone who knows the comics or knows anything about the Flash knows that the Flash is married to Iris West. It's not a big reveal, obviously, but you gotta give it something. You gotta put some effort into their dialogue and their relationship. Otherwise, their characters just seem flat and boring. And that's how I felt about Iris. She was flat and boring.
I'm gonna jump forward pretty much the entire movie, but at the end when Iris was like, "You should ask me out," I was like, "Why?
Yeah, like
Why do you
why?
want him to ask you out?"
That was my exact thought at the end of the movie. And I was like, why would you possibly want him to ask you out? The only two interactions that you've had have been completely terrible. And he left you in both of them, just like left you on the street and then left you in his gross ass apartment. And then,
I
like, a freak yelling about, I don't know, what was it, bananas, pasta, something? No.
soup. It was
Soup,
tomato
yeah.
soup.
I don't
Or a
know.
can of
Some
tomatoes or whatever. But I mean, in my
butterflies.
head, I explained it as she just guessed or understood that he was the Flash. But the movie makes no indication that that's the case. So,
I'm not buying that. Nope. I'm not buying that. Sorry. That asshole Gary who was asleep on the couch who saw two berries sitting next to each other talking about being the Flash, he didn't catch that they were the Flash. There's no way that Irish was going to catch it.
yeah.
I don't like that. Um I just think overall it was not well handled. Iris was so clearly an afterthought in this movie. And she also didn't need to be in this movie. Like,
No.
you can have a Flash story without Iris.
It was
Obviously.
like she was casted for the Snyderverse movie. And then they were like, oh, we have this character. We have to use her, I guess. Like, you don't really have to.
Yeah. No, it seems that way with a lot of the DC movies um that have come and gone in the past, you know. Obviously maybe things will be different in the future with James Gunn, but right now it seems like there's all like there are these characters who are introduced, and why are they introduced? Oh, because they have to be, because we need them for their story, for the story, or
Just to fill that slot.
yeah, or we need them because they were in the comics, and you don't actually need them. I was incredibly more interested by the character, the girl who plays Erin in Dairy Girls, who was in this movie, than Iris at all.
Was that the blonde friend?
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
she's
thought
freaking hilarious in Dairy Girls, and she was pretty funny in this movie too.
I thought they were incredibly annoying the first time we saw them, which is the point. That's why they're there. And then I thought they were very funny the second time, which is the point. So I thought that part of the movie was good.
Yeah.
But I think getting, the Coliseum of rubbery faces out of the way,
Right.
we should move on to just, I guess, running through the plot or just the story, because that's the best way of just going through each thing, saying, I liked this, I
Sure.
didn't like this.
Sure.
Because,
Well, after um, Barry's calorie attack in the morning, he doesn't get his sandwich, and he's very upset about it. And he goes to help Bruce with some Batman problem that's happening.
I
Some hospital
loved
is
everything
exploding.
about this.
I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I was laughing my ass off, and there were only two other people in the entire theater, so it was very noticeable. Um, but no, the baby scene, obviously the babies again, Uncanny Valley,
Oh
scary
boy.
ass flying babies. I was not happy about that, but everything else was so funny.
The fact that like the title cards get interrupted, which is great, and then the baby shower and Barry going for the vending machine initially, and then he's saving everyone, and then they add a therapy dog on top of that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the kind of movie that I'm watching. I
Yeah, yeah.
understand now.
Yeah, because there's a very big tone shift with what kind of movie this is and what kind of characters are in it who we've seen before in other things. Like Batman, like Batfleck, right? He
Definitely.
is an incredibly serious character, and to have him talking in Barry's ear juxtaposed with that was jarring to say the least. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but it was fucking crazy.
We've seen a million different versions of Batman in live action. Most recently, we've seen a really good detective version, which, if I'm honest, we hadn't really seen before then. In this movie, we
Thank
finally get two different versions of a comic book Batman. And the only time we've seen that in Hollywood is Lego Batman. And
Yeah.
he's finally just the comic book guy that we haven't seen before, and I
No,
kind of
you
love it.
that fight at the beginning was sick as hell. Like Batman going off and just like oh with the school bus and when he was on the motorcycle and he get those like tire things. I'm not making a lot of sense, but it was
If you've seen it, you know.
so damn cool. If you've seen it, you know it was so damn cool. I loved that. Um and Wonder Woman showing up, that was cool. I don't think it was necessary, but I think
It
they were
was
just
fun.
like yeah, I because it also if you are in a universe where there is a Justice League, I think Barry establishes this in the first scene where why wouldn't you call everyone else,
Where's
right? He's
Superman?
yeah. He's like Alfred, call Superman. Oh, that was my first choice. Yeah, obviously Barry is not your first choice. And yeah, so I think it made sense in that regard. Like she's there, she's around, she can show up, so she did. But did she need to show up for the movie? No, she
No.
doesn't need to be there. Um,
And they do the same lasso joke um, where, Batman gets the lasso on him that they did
mhm.
in the Justice League. And I think it hits really nicely. The line was just like, if I wanted to end crime, I'd just end poverty. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, you would.
Yeah.
But no.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And that was just like a they do kind of a little callback to it later with the other Batman,
Oh
where
God.
where he's like, "I'm retired. Gotham is the safest city in the world," and I was like, "What?"
Hold
That's the
up.
craziest thing I ever heard. Yeah,
That's kind of amazing.
if you just gave them your money, it would be way better than going out and punching criminals. But I digress.
We'll get into it more as we talk about, later in the movie with Keaton
Yeah.
because oh my God, he's incredible. But there is a couple Batman ass moments in this movie, and one of them is with Affleck where he's chasing down some criminals and he's like, Alfred, call someone up, a hospital's about to fall down, but I need to deal with this thing.
Right.
Someone else save lives. That's so Batman, and
Yeah.
I loved it.
It really is. And when Barry was like talking about being the janitor of the Justice League, that felt very like animated Justice League cartoon to be like, I liked it
Yep.
a lot. I liked it a lot.
No, I loved that so much.
Um, anyway, so they save the day, yada yada yada. All the babies are fine. Barry puts a baby in the microwave, which is questionable, but
Yeah. I guess
um,
I'm still not sure about that how he can move the baby because it's in a microwave,
yeah, I
but
don't
whatever.
get that. Also, he had just warmed up a burrito in the microwave. So it was actively emitting microwave rays,
Or
right?
at
Whatever.
least the
That's
microwave,
not
yeah.
good for a baby, but whatever.
And when
It's better than falling to its death, I guess.
I did like the fact that he was catching them one by one,
Yeah.
like trying to be careful with them. I like that aspect. When he's running with them and that whatever pillar is falling, it looks like he's definitely not going to make it, but then he does somehow.
Hmm. Yeah. It just
Someone tell me how he makes that because I'm
I
not
think
sure
he
how.
just runs faster, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, he is the Flash,
I'm
so
pretty sure he just runs faster. But whole time looking goofy as hell with the CGI.
yeah,
And then
rubbery movements.
yeah. And then he goes to work and he's late for work, obviously, because the Flash is chronically
Yeah,
late, which I love. Just as the character of the
hmm
Flash in the comics also is just the fastest man on earth is chronically late, and I think it's so
and
funny.
he's chronically out of excuses because he always uses them. I
Hmm.
That joke has been run into the ground, but I will never get tired of
It's
it. I
so
love it.
funny. It's so good. Why would they not use it, Um, and then we meet the sidekicks, blonde girl and not blonde guy. That's what I remembered them
Yes,
as. Aaron from Dairy Girls and man.
and Guy,
Yeah.
and then we get clunky dialogue with Iris.
Yes, full circle back to Iris. Um, and then
And
what
I think
happens
this
next?
is where he calls his dad and he
Right.
initially just like runs really fast. And I really did like this moment up until the Coliseum of rubbery faces that I talked about.
Sure.
But
Before that, real quick, I really like the fact that um he had asked Bruce to help him with
yes,
this security footage to try and get his dad free. I thought that was a really good. Ugh,
I got the same
yeah,
message.
we're on the same family group chat. My mom needs to stop sending us shit. Um, anyway,
Will
that
we
took
cut this out? I don't
that
know.
who knows? Maybe it'll stay in. That took me out. Hold on. Uh, yeah, Bruce was helping Barry decode this footage to help his dad get free in his appeal. And I thought that was very good. I like the sort of world building aspect that
Mm,
implies that, Bruce, talks a big game, but they are friends. They are on the
mhm.
same team. They do talk to each other about things.
And I really like the way that that was done because it's just the letter and Bruce's handwriting saying "I'm sorry," and then you as the audience has to key it together that that video
Yeah, you
didn't
don't
work because he didn't look up,
Yeah, you don't need more than that. Audiences aren't as
hmm
dumb as some filmmakers think.
which I'm really happy about.
Right. Um, and then yeah, he talks to his dad and he goes to their old house.
Hmm
And I really like this version of fuck, what's his dad's name? Not
Oh
Bert.
God.
Uh Barry Allen's dad, you know?
Oh no. I have no idea what his dad's name is. Is his mom?
His
I
mom
want
is
to say.
Nora. She's
I was gonna
Nora
say
Allen.
Nora, but I was like, that's Mr. Freeze's wife. No, I guess
No,
just same
also her.
name.
Also, Damien Dark's daughter is also Nora. Um,
What? How many
I don't
Noras
know.
are there?
I don't know if that is in the comics, but I know it is in the shows, like the CW Arrowverse shows. I don't know if that's from the comics, but whatever. Um, Lots of Noras, and there's lots of Marthas. So whatever Barry Allen's dad's name is.
Mhm.
And I really like how he was he wasn't putting all his eggs in the basket. Like he wasn't hoping. I mean, he was probably hoping that he'll get out, obviously,
Yeah.
but he wasn't letting Barry know that how much it hurt him, and
Mhm.
he was trying to talk about Barry. Oh, did you ask out that girl? Oh, it's better for me in here.
Mhm.
I thought it was really good dad behavior.
Everything with Barry and his parents in this movie, I would almost say is incredible.
Hmm.
Like it's really well written, it's really well acted.
Hmm.
It's really good.
Yeah. Um. Obviously, with the Nora Allen storyline that was written decades ago.
Yes.
It obviously plays into fridging stereotypes and,
Mhm.
mom perfect angel
Yeah.
stereotypes. I mean, there's not that much more to say about it. Obviously plays into them, but
Yeah.
that's the way it is,
Every
and that's the way the movie
every
is, and it's
hero's
fine.
parents has to be fridged, and the fact that
Yeah,
it's like the Harry Potter's mom of how his mom is
right.
just the greatest person in
She's
the
the
entire
greatest of all
universe.
eyes, and oh, you have her eyes, and she's perfect, so you have to be perfect. I don't know, it's a whole thing, but
Putting all that aside, and you know
yeah,
what? We probably should have put this aside too. Ezra Miller, not a great person,
that should have
but
been
he
up top. We
yeah, we
are
kind of we skipped the ball or
we don't
whatever the
support
term is.
Ezra Miller. They are
Not a great person.
engaging
Well
in
acted in this
lunatic
movie,
behavior.
but
Yeah, they are engaging in lunatic behavior.
they
Not very
I
good.
hope they get the help that they deserve.
Yes.
But anyway,
Yes, they will probably not be in the DCEU going forward, but who knows? Maybe they will
mhm,
be. This movie leaves it ambiguous. Um
yes.
anyway,
Anyway, that yeah, we lost our track
our
on that.
momentum.
But I
Okay,
think
so this is the first moment when he goes back in time.
mhm,
And Barry goes back and sees one of the uncanny valley babies again. And
he pokes his
floating in
head
the air.
through like
Yeah.
that little kid in Love and Thunder.
And he just looked, oh my God, he looked like what's his name? The guy from the new Ant-Man movie. The big floating head guy. What's his freaking
Oh,
name?
Modoc.
MODOK, yeah. He just looked like MODOK floating there, and I was like, this is so funny. Yeah, that was a
And then
choice. That was a choice.
yeah, it was a weird choice. And then we have the honestly another really good just like emotional scene between him or Barry and Bruce. And
Hmm.
Bruce is just talking about like don't go back. These scars are what make you. Like don't try to fix anything. You're just going to
Yeah.
screw it up. And I like that.
Yeah, which is also again echoed later by Michael Keaton in a different
Mhm.
way. Um, and they do a really good job with Batman in this movie, honestly.
I have you heard the news that Andy Muschietti, the director of this film, or most well known as the director of like the two It movies, he's directing the newest Brave and the Bold or the next Batman movie.
Yes, I did hear about that.
Okay. I'm
Um,
really happy about that
Me
because
too.
he clearly gets Batman.
Hmm. I felt we've talked about this before, how I'm not the biggest Batman and Superman fan. I do like Batman more than Superman. Um, but I'm not the biggest Batman and Superman person.
For our
Um,
listeners out there, don't worry, I love Batman and Superman. I'll get her to love them.
I love them too. I just have a lot of problems with them. Anyway, this was the closest I've ever come to seeing the Batman that I love um, on the screen. Yeah.
Yes.
Most of the problems I have with Batman are the ones from the movies, not like comic
Hmm.
Batman and Superman. That's a whole different story. But like movies, live action, shows, all that stuff, I've always had issues with them. And this, all the different iterations of Batman in this were very appealing to me. I liked
Hmm.
them. I liked this take on Batman. It wasn't even that different from the previous Batfleck Batman. It's just that it was a completely different tone, and it really worked for me.
They were flawed, but in the right reasons.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I really did like that. And before we get off the topic of Affleck's Batman, we need to talk about his horrible bat suit because what was going on there? Oh my god. I can't even describe how bad it was. Like if
I'm
you saw it, you know.
I'm sorry. The suits in general in this movie, other than Michael Keaton's Batman suit and
And
Kara's
Supergirl.
Supergirl suit,
Yeah.
those were excellent. But every other suit in this movie, what
Oh,
the hell were they thinking? I wrote this down too, that Barry's suit, obviously they make a joke about it later in the movie, but it is so tight. And
there's a shot where he's got a full-on wedgie
yeah,
and it is
no, I
whoa.
mean like, okay, sorry if this is graphic, but like the bulge, it's too much. And it's the fact that they do so many low angle shots on him. That's the part that really takes you out. Like if they were doing high angle shots, it wouldn't be as big of a deal,
Mhm.
but so many of the running shots are low angle from the ground. And that's the first thing that's in the middle of the screen. That is not unless you're shooting like a porno. Oh, that is not the cinematography you want for a Flash movie.
I I will give it this. If you forget about the bulge because but I mean, wow, it's hard to.
I mean, if you
But if
like it, you
you
like it. Just
if
like,
you I mean, yeah, if you forget about the bulge and you take Barry's cowl off of his costume, it's actually really good. It's like the
it
same
is.
thing as Captain America in the
Mhm.
first Avengers. It's like, wow, I hate his costume, and then he takes off the cowl. It's like, oh no, it's just the terrible cowl.
Yeah.
That's what's
Also, it
horrible.
looks really weird later in the movie when he takes his gloves off and he just had his like bare ass forearms. That looked goofy as hell. And I thought they were going to rectify it and he was going to come back for his gloves, but it
No.
was just constantly there.
Yeah. Now we'll get to the third act when we get to it because I didn't hate it, but
We'll get there.
yeah, we'll get there. So
um
Affleck loved him, didn't love his suit. What was going on there? Please, Andy Muschietti, get a really good bat suit for your movie. I don't
oh
want to look at a
oh
bad
they're
bat suit.
I don't think they're going to have to worry about Batfleck's Batsuit anymore.
Yeah, no, he's
Um
done.
bye-bye.
But
Anyway,
and now Barry has the weird conversation with Iris and he's being very awkward, which I guess is his character. And I like the joke where he puts all the stuff in the cabinet and then it
yeah, no,
falls down.
I thought it was really funny. Um it just I don't it didn't feel that interaction did not feel paired right with the kinds of jokes that were happening in it.
Mm.
Especially because that's where he realizes that he can go back in time and give his mom the tomatoes or whatever, so that she doesn't die. And it's just it was a very stilted and awkward scene.
I
I
think whenever they're trying to give out that exposition while also setting up the romance between those two, it feels a little forced on both
Yeah,
ends.
very
But
forced.
anyway, that's where Barry goes back in time travels and starts the whole shenanigans
Yeah,
that are
and
basically just Flashpoint.
I will say, what I really like about the time travel effect, like obviously the faces are very uncanny valley,
Hmm.
but the fact that everyone was frozen and it's in this like big circular coliseum arena type thing, I I thought that that was an artistic choice. I mean, maybe it wasn't, maybe it just wasn't finished, but I took it as that was the artistic choice and I kind of liked it. It looked very I don't know if it looked very comic book. It looked kind of comic book, but it more looked like a, like a pop-up book. Um,
I can kind of get that.
yeah.
And I will say everything in concept in this movie, at least just about everything, is really, really inspired. And
Yeah.
it is really good
And I really
in
liked the fact
concept.
that it was round and it was obviously that comes
Hmm.
back later when Michael Keaton tells him time is not linear, time is not a straight
Yeah.
line. And
It's a wibbly
I
wobbly ball.
wibbly wobbly timey wimey. That's an episode on that is definitely in the works. Don't you worry, people.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh yes. Anyway, there was yeah, the moment when he was going back originally and he went back and he saw all the Justice League and there was like, shirtless Superman back from the dead and I was like, "Oh, I remember that." It was kind of like a
Hmm.
member berries from South Park. Oh, I remember that.
Member.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got. And then he
There's a
goes
lot of
back.
member berry vibes in this movie,
There
especially the
were.
cameos.
There
But
were
we'll
indeed.
get to that. We'll
Um,
get to that.
We'll get to that. He goes back, he puts the can of tomatoes in his mom's shopping cart so that she doesn't die. Now,
Hmm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but in the comics, Nora Allen's death was not just a random robbery, was it?
So okay. There are many more things to talk about in the second act of this movie, but I feel like we need to get into it. I am I wouldn't say confused or just blown away with the fact that they didn't do a lot with Nora's death in this movie. Like, I think they go out and say that it is just a random robbing.
Yeah, that's what they say. They say that she was only killed because dad was not home.
Yeah.
Barry's dad wasn't home. He was out getting tomatoes. Some robbers came in. They thought that it was an empty house, even though there were two people in the house and all the lights were on. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they stabbed her in the kitchen, and Barry didn't hear it until his dad came home, I guess. I don't
That
know.
entire scene is edited weird because
Okay. They
why
inserted. I'm sorry. Between the flashback scene of them dancing in the kitchen and
Mhm.
asking Dad to go out and get tomatoes, and then when Barry's upstairs in his room coloring right before she gets murdered or whatever, um, they edit in this weird ass like clip of Ezra Miller, just like obviously like adult Barry, just like standing there in his Flash suit, and I'm like, why? Why? Like it was so it took me out so much. It looked so weird, and I think he says like no or something like that, and it was
I
just
think I'm remembering the
very
same
strange
thing
editing
where it's just him like
choices.
looking sad and standing in the street looking at the
Yeah, but it
house.
was like it wasn't him looking at the house. There was no reverse shot of the house. It was
Hmm.
just back on him, like where
I
he
think
was
I'm just
before.
assuming he was
Yeah,
looking at
you
the
assume.
house.
Yeah, no, he is looking at the house because you see
Hmm.
that in the previous sequence. But he's just. It's just a clip of him, and I'm like, why would you do that? You're just interrupting a flashback sequence because chronologically, this is what happens next. Like,
Yeah.
Barry and his mom dance in the kitchen, and then he goes upstairs, and then he hears a shout, and he comes back down, and his mom is dead. That is
Yeah.
chronologically
A,
what happens.
a dissolve or a fade would have worked just as
Yeah,
fine.
and you
But
did
I
not
think
need to edit in that just shot, and it was like 4 frames. It was so quick, and I was like, "What?" I was bewildered.
that shot didn't necessarily take me out of the sequence, but what really did is the scream that they edited in for I
Yes.
think just the reason of the audience is dumb and they're not going to understand that Nora's life is in danger at that moment. Because the fact that Nora is dying, or at least on her last breath, in that moment where his Barry's dad is coming home, that means that Barry's dad could have still committed the murder
Yeah.
even if he's seen at the store.
Well,
That really took me out of the
I
movie.
mean, they do a scream because what it is, it's like he's out in the driveway holding the can of
Yeah.
tomatoes, and then she
And then he
screams,
runs
and then he
inside.
runs inside. So obviously, Barry knows that she screamed before, but I guess
Hmm.
that's why the cops think that he killed his wife.
I don't know. That part still confuses me. That whole storyline, and it's for the simple fact of the scream that they added in.
I
Like
think it
without it,
was
it would have made sense.
I think what doesn't make it for me is the fact that they made it a random robbery
Yes.
because Nora Allen's death is not that.
No, she is killed by the Reverse
She's killed
Flash.
by the Reverse
And
Flash as
let's get
revenge.
into it
It's
because they don't really have the Reverse Flash
they
in
don't
this
have it. They
movie.
have what's his name? It's not Zoom.
Just future Barry.
Right, but like he's called
And
something.
Godspeed, I think is his name.
Godspeed.
Future
Yeah.
Barry in the comics,
That's
but
it.
that's not even him. I'm gonna say Evil Flash. Just for simplicity's sake, we're gonna call him Evil Flash.
Or not like stalactite monster.
I I'll say one thing I loved about him, and I saw like a leaked image of his hot toy months ago, so I knew that he looked like that. And I saw him in the movie for the first time, and I kind of liked his introduction where he was just in the Speed Force as this evil presence.
Well, at first I thought he was a time wraith.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't think that that was Godspeed. I thought it was a time wraith, and then when they didn't come back to it for the longest time, I was like, "Isn't there a time wraith after
Yeah.
Barry?"
And then
Like,
he dreams about it. It's like,
guys.
oh, yeah. But anyway, I really, 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 really hated his design. Just the metal sticking out. And then, for simplicity's sake, we'll call young Barry just young Barry. And he gets the piece of kryptonite, or not kryptonite, just the Krypton Army's metal in his arm, and I was like, oh, that's why he has that design, and it kind of clicked for me. Still don't like it, but that was a really good moment.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was interesting. I was like, yeah, I mean if you're constantly going back in time and changing trying to change the past, you're not going to like go and make a cute new outfit. Like you're just gonna
Yeah.
stick with what you're wearing for I guess the hundreds of years that he was doing this, and he's just stuck with a bunch of metal. I thought it was interesting.
And I think there are aspects that I genuinely like. I mean, we talked about it before. Everything in concept is really good in this movie. Evil Flash, Barry, and then Young Barry, the three different versions of the Flash in this movie. And I think they should have made it more concise and just made it Barry and Evil Flash and made it so that Young Barry more, clearly and simpler, or in a more simpler way, turns into the Evil Flash. Like that, I'm not
I
making a lot of sense,
No, no, you're making
but
sense. I just don't know if I agree with that. I think that I liked the fact that uh young Barry creates the paradox of uh sacrificing himself for Barry and like dying. I thought it was interesting. I didn't get a lot of just the way that young Barry was written and acted. I have a
did you
lot to
not like
say.
that?
I have no. Just the way that he was written and acted, I did not buy him turning evil. I don't buy that kind of character turning evil.
Yeah.
I bought it when he was getting mad and trying to fix his mistake and kept going over and over and over again. And that's why, because I didn't see Godspeed as evil.
Mm.
I saw him just as lost young Barry, right?
Yes.
He's just like really trying, and he's destroying all these worlds, and he doesn't mean to. He doesn't want to destroy them, and that's why when his younger self sees the havoc he's causing, he saves Barry and lets himself die.
Everything about that is good. The one moment that I didn't like or I didn't love was when young Barry sacrifices himself for that. I feel like it would have been better, at least in my eyes, if young Barry says, "Give me one more chance or one more time." He leaves, and then Godspeed comes back, and it is that transformation. That was the one more time, I say with quotation marks, because he probably went on that eternal journey, in that one chance. But
Right.
then
But then, like,
Godspeed comes back, and then young Barry also comes back, separating the two, which
right.
I would have preferred and a fist fight or something rather than the sacrificing.
Oh, I think that's where we disagree because I like that there was no fist fight. I thought that this storyline was so much about family and rescuing and protecting and trying to fix your mistake.
Hmm.
And I like that they tied the other berries into that. And there was for me there was already the fist fight with Zod's army, and I don't think that there needed to be one with Godspeed right after that. Um, I
No, you're
like
probably right. There
I
didn't
like
need to
that.
be.
Yeah, and I don't think you need an evil Godspeed. I think misguided with good intentions is enough. And I think
Oh yeah.
because like obviously I didn't think that there needed to be a fist fight with Godspeed, and I didn't think he needed to be evil, just a misguided with good intentions character. Like that's who Barry is.
Hmm.
That is who Barry has been the entire time. He had good intentions to save his mom, and it was misguided, and he created Flashpoint, and that's who he's always been.
Yeah.
So
And I
I
think, or even the fact that Godspeed was trying to fix this one mistake of Batman and Supergirl dying, like
yeah,
it just going over and over and over and over again. I did like that, but
and
I
I
wish
think
that it may be connected to Nora's death somehow. I
well
don't know.
for him he never experienced Nora's death, so I didn't miss that too much. But I also like the fact because for me, I was like, why does he care so much about them? He just met them like a day ago. But then it's not just the fact that they're dying, it's the fact that the whole world dies because Zod wins if they die.
Right.
So I thought that was very good.
Hmm.
Anyway, hold on. We should go back a bit. Barry goes to the past and he meets his younger self, and he's a tool,
Yes.
and it's hilarious. Um, and then he realizes I need to get powers. You need to get powers. I need to get you struck by lightning.
Which he probably didn't need to do because it's a separate universe entirely, but it's a good excuse to get young Barry powers.
But then I mean, you need it for later if you want Godspeed, which you already needed to
Yeah.
have Godspeed because Godspeed kicked him out of the
Hmm.
Speed Force in the first place.
And we left that subject, but I do want to say I liked how he was like, I created you and you create me. I
Yeah.
like that paradox.
Yeah, I the Flash is so fun. It's the reason I love the Flash so much is because they play around with, wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff, and
Yep.
there's all these paradoxes, and I just love time travel. Okay.
I haven't really mentioned it before, but I have heard a lot of complaints that, the first Flash movie and you instantly go Flashpoint. I mean, first off, I think it's immediately okay because as soon as the Barry realizes that he can time travel, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to try to save his mom.
Of course.
But
I think.
also
Oh yeah, go ahead.
there's not a lot of Flash storylines. Like recently there was a 1 minute war where like some aliens have access to the Speed Force and all of the Flashes have to defeat them within like 1 minute. It's great, but there's not a lot of really good Flash storylines other than Flashpoint. So obviously they're gonna do that.
I just think. I mean, I like a lot of Flash storylines, but Flashpoint is obviously the biggest one, the most well-known one.
Hmm.
Um, but the reason that I don't think it's a problem to go immediately into Flashpoint, other than like as opposed to something like going straight into Dark Phoenix again and again, right? Um,
That's a problem.
that's definitely a problem. Is the fact that this character has been around for years. This iteration of Barry, played by
Hmm.
Ezra Miller, has been around for a while.
And they do a
And
good job of saying that. He's the
yeah.
janitor of the Justice
Yeah,
League.
and this Barry hasn't gotten his own movie, but it's until now, but
Mhm.
he does he has been there for a while. Like how when did Justice League come out? The first one, the original one.
2017, I want to say.
Yeah.
I
Like
could be wrong. I
that
probably am.
it's been a long time for audiences.
Hmm.
And then there was the other Justice League and a bunch of other shit, and he's made cameo appearances in other movies, and he's just been around for a while. And and that was shown a lot when he was like mentoring Kid Barry, like young
Yeah.
Barry.
He
And he
knows
was
what he's doing.
yeah, and he was like, you have to do this, you can't do that, you're gonna have too much charge, you this is how you phase, blah 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 blah. And
Yeah, I
it's
like how he knew all the flash tricks, the phasing,
yeah,
everything.
I
He
thought it
had
was
all of
great.
them.
And it's a great way to introduce him because obviously they weren't introduced in the other movies, but it's a great way to introduce them by our Barry teaching them to this young, fucking stupid Barry.
I did like young Barry. I
I like that he
there were
has his mother and then he's just an asshole.
yeah, he has his mother. He never got to learn any sort of lesson.
You're only
And
nice if your parents die.
yeah. Otherwise you're just an asshole.
That's why we're
I,
not nice.
no, we're mean.
Yeah.
I really liked the moment where older Barry or just regular Barry grabs young Barry and he's like, "Jesus, you're annoying. You talk so fast. Oh, I get it."
Yeah, now I see what people are saying about me.
Yeah, I really liked that
Yeah, no,
where they
it's
just
really
called it
funny.
out.
But I also like the differences like that. Our Barry, because of the trauma that he faced, he's so much more socially awkward and reserved. Like he's still a fast talker. He's still a little annoying
Mm.
sometimes, and he still speaks his mind about everything. But he has very different personality because
One
obviously
is way more comfortable.
yeah, and obviously your experiences shape your life. And Barry has been uncomfortable his whole life, so
Yes.
I thought that was fun. So he gets young Barry struck by lightning, but once young Barry realizes that to get his powers he has to be struck by lightning, he's like, I don't want to do that. So they
Uh-uh.
get into a little fight, and the lightning ends up hitting both of them, and thus our Barry loses his powers.
How does he still get healed and not die from the lightning while also losing his powers? I don't know, but it makes for a fun
Doesn't
next
make
like
sense.
half an hour
No,
where
but
young Barry has the powers and he doesn't.
yeah. But I did think it was very Looney Tunes esque to me. It's like you get hit on the head, you lose your memory, and then you get hit on the head and you get your memory back. That's what it felt
That's
like.
so funny because I was gonna bring up Looney Tunes for the next scene where young Barry's running around with his newfound powers and
Yeah,
he's
well, of
burning up,
course.
and a
They
literal
even mentioned Looney
like
Tunes.
a band skips across the ground and the spotlight is illuminating him and he's naked and it's really good. It's funny.
It's pretty funny. I thought, this is where I was like, obviously where Barry's with himself, Ezra Miller, and it's a
Hmm.
lot. It's a lot of character choices. Um, they're not bad. They're not bad,
No.
and it's not bad acting. It's just it gets a little grating after a while. It's a
Is it the
lot.
laugh?
No, it's not the laugh. It's just their personality. Like I feel so bad saying that, but it's their respective personalities because I feel like they tried to do what they tried to do later on was have young Barry be, the quirky, weird, out of pace one, and then have our Barry
Mm.
be the straight man, right?
Yeah.
That's usually what makes a good comedic duo. Um, But the problem is that our Barry is not a straight man. he
No.
is he is uh absolutely batshit crazy as well, just in a different way. He's the one
He
who made
breaks the
Flashpoint.
universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like going back, like his first fight scene, he, instead of immediately going to rescue babies, he goes to a vending machine and heats up a burrito. Like, that's not straight man behavior.
There is no straight man in this movie.
No.
I would say
Take that any
Michael
way you
Keaton
like,
is.
folks.
Oh. There is. Well, we'll get to it, but I have to say it. There is
Batman's not
gay
straight.
Clooney Batman.
Oh, yeah.
So
Batman's not straight. Fight me. Anyone fight me.
he wears a metaphorical mask all the time. Obviously, he's not straight. Okay. I just kind of mentioned Keaton's Batman, but we gotta talk about him
Yeah,
because
I think that's where we're going next.
yeah,
They,
they
Barry
yeah
loses
Barry
powers.
yeah Zod's coming. He figures out that there's no heroes. Batman.
Yeah.
Let's find Batman.
Finally,
And
Batman.
yeah, when they pull up to the mansion and the music's playing, we haven't really talked about it. The music's okay in this movie, except for when they're aping Danny Elfman. Then the music's amazing.
Danny Elfman is never not the GOAT. So good.
Yep. But yeah, when we see long-haired Keaton, and I don't think when he's out of the bat suit, he always has an ascot on.
Yes, and
And
I
it's-
loved it.
I was a little worried that Keaton would, I don't know, be selling a performance or just getting a paycheck, but holy shit. He is so, not just Batman, but he's Keaton's, Burton's Batman.
It was
to
so
a T.
good. It was so good. I loved it. And I love how he just so matter-of-factly describes the universe to Barry, and he's like, "You fucked up." He's like, "Problem is, time isn't linear." I loved it. It was so good, and he does it with pasta, and that was the best thing in the world.
I just realized I forgot I was gonna start out with an intro of "This movie made me hungry for spaghetti."
Yeah, literally. I came home and I was like, "I'm starving."
Let's make some spaghetti. I, but yeah, the fact that he's even retired at the beginning, because Gotham's the safest city in the world. It's like, okay,
Excellent
yeah.
choice.
Not only has he gone on and just lived his life, but he is living his best life, despite the fact that probably everyone around him is dead.
I don't think he's living his best life. He has grown his hair out. His house is a mess. He's painting terrible pictures, and
let me
he's
rephrase
isolated in a vine-covered mansion. I don't think he's living his best life.
As Bruce Wayne, he is living his best life.
The best
The
life
best life
Bruce
Bruce
Wayne,
Wayne.
could
Yeah.
possibly have. Yeah.
But
I
the berries, they go down to the bat cave, and it's great. The tune's going, the bats are flying, and I think.
Oh, you go.
Sorry, you go.
Okay. I really loved the scene where Barry was getting on the computer trying to get Michael Keaton to like join them and like help them fight Zod and find Superman, and where he was talking to him through the monitor. I thought that was a great scene when he was talking
Love
about the
that.
like inevitable intersections of in every timeline.
It's like, how do you explain that other than fate?
Other than fate.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing that got Michael Keaton,
Yeah.
or not Michael Keaton. That's what got Bruce back.
He's Michael Keaton.
Yeah, we're just gonna call him Keaton because he is. Oh my god, the scene where he's sewing his arm back up and he looks into the mirror and gives just a wry smile.
So
Oh,
good.
that's Keaton.
It was so much fun.
I will say the one disappointment I had with him is I 110% expected him and a fight between Reverse Flash. I don't know if you've read the comic or heard about it, but there's a fight where Batman has to just defend himself for like 40 seconds or something because he calls Flash right at the beginning of the fight and he just has to wait for Flash to come and save his
Oh my
ass.
God, that's funny. No, I haven't read that one.
I think the director like posted a picture like hinting at that fight and I expected it. It didn't come. I'm not mad because of it, but I would have liked to see that.
I mean, when you say that, that reminds me of, like when they first meet Michael Keaton and Bruce, and
Hmm.
he, like is hiding in the pantry and comes out and starts attacking them, and he's obviously getting the best of Barry because he doesn't have any powers anymore, but young Barry is just like,
Yeah.
whoa, just
He
like
can't
moving
even
out of
touch
the way.
him.
Yeah,
I did like that a lot.
I thought
And
that
the
was
the
great.
the shot of his like feet coming out and stepping on the old
Yes.
pizza.
He was so clearly having so much fun in this movie. Michael
Yes.
Keaton was.
Oh my
And
god.
it was great.
And I talked way at the beginning of this podcast of just Batman ass moments. Michael Keaton later on gets such a Batman moment where they're running and the action's going and he's, carrying the Flash because he got shot in the knee.
Yeah.
And then the music stops. He pulls out a tape measure and he's
It's
like,
like,
"How much do you guys weigh?"
Yeah, how much do you weigh?
So Batman.
Yeah, no, that was great. Okay, so after that, they decide that they have to go find Superman.
Yes.
Superman is being kept at a black site in
Yeah, like
Siberia or something.
Yeah.
Um,
With a
in
red sun container.
yeah, it's in a red sun container. Like there's probably kryptonite there or something. I don't know. They didn't say it,
It's
but
kind of a mixture of like Flashpoint and Superman Red Sun, which I liked. But then of course they find
they get in there and there's no Superman in there. There's just a frail girl. Um, and
and Keaton's just like, leave her, we're
yeah,
gone.
it's like, fuck, not him. It's not him. Let's go. Barry's like, no, we're going to save her. And
Before then, there was the moment where young Barry, he's wearing the suit, and he knocks over a thing, and he watches it fall the entire time, and I'm just thinking, Barry, you have super speed,
yeah, I know.
buddy.
He's just like, oh no, don't fall. I'm like, bro.
Anyway, I loved seeing Keaton in action because there's even a part right beforehand when he's about to fly down. He's like, this is gonna hurt. Let's go.
Yeah,
Love seeing him in action.
that was
We've
really good.
never seen him so spry,
Right.
and I loved it.
And then just like back to the berries for a second, like I feel so conflicted because there are some moments in this movie where I'm like the two of them together, it's too much. They need to stop. But then there are some moments when I'm like, yes, this is so
It
funny.
works.
Berry on berry violence is hilarious.
I think there's another thing that we also haven't talked about, and when I mentioned how the VFX sometimes it does hit, there's two Ezra Millers on screen for a large portion of
It
this
looks
movie.
so good.
It looks really good. There's some times where I'm looking at both of them like, I don't know which of you two is CG.
Well,
Like,
the thing is like I'm not going to give them that many props for that because they perfected that technology with the Parent Trap in 1998
yeah.
or whatever it was. That it looked good back then. It looks good now. You never go back and watch that movie and are like, oh, it looks like there's a fake Lindsay Lohan. No, it looks like two real Lindsay Lohan. That's great.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a
Yeah.
side tangent we had to
No,
go on
that
because I had to
that's
mention it.
that's a good effect. They do it well. So they save the girl and they get up and they get into the sun and wow, crazy. Turns out she's Kara. She's Supergirl. I thought it was great. I love Kara. I don't always love Superman, but I always love Kara. She's great.
I love Supergirl mainly because recently in the Tom King run, it was, I'd say, fleshed out that she upholds everything that Superman does, truth, justice, and kind of, I say in quotation marks, the American way.
I don't say
Well-
it. I hate that's what rubbed me the wrong way about Superman when I was a kid. When he was like truth, justice, and the American way, and I was like, I'd rather watch Spider-Man.
But anyway, she upholds all of those morals, but she doesn't believe in any of them for a second.
I love it. Yeah, because why would she? She wasn't born here. She remembers Krypton.
No, yeah,
She
Earth is
is
not her home
yeah,
as much
she
as she
is
wants it to be.
knowingly an alien. Like Clark, he didn't know he was an alien until he was of a certain age. Like he was just he's of Earth, even though he's from Krypton. He's of Earth, and Kara's not, and I really like that.
I really hope this actress returns as Supergirl
Her name is
for the Supergirl
Sasha.
movie.
Her name is
Sasha.
Sasha. Yeah.
I didn't want to say her name because I've heard so many different pronunciations of her last name. Sasha Kaye,
Oh, is
I
it
think it
Kaye?
is.
Oh, I don't know. But I just know her first name is Sasha, and I was like, anyone can be
Oh.
Supergirl.
But yeah, I loved her interpretation of Supergirl. Her costume was dead on. Well,
So
not dead
good.
on. It was actually very different from the comic book
No,
costume.
but
But
it's
I thought it was dead
very
on as in
as
this
Superman.
universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very dead on to Superman's costume. And I really liked her. She's fucking awesome. She gets up, she's in the sun for like a hot second, and then she just destroys everything.
And
And
she's
it's
like, okay, now I'm at full power.
yeah.
And I mean, Supergirl in the comics is blonde. She's not. I could not give a
I couldn't
shit.
care less. I will say this, when the trailers were first coming out and I knew that they were doing Flashpoint and they showed that it was Supergirl and not Superman, they didn't say her name in the trailers. And I was hoping beyond hope that her name was going to be Kal-El and that she was going to be just the female version of Kal-El.
Oh.
And I really wanted that to happen because I was like, guys, it's Flashpoint. You could do anything.
You could literally do
You
anything
could
you
do
want.
whatever you want. That would be so cool. But I'm not upset
That
that it's Kara because I
yeah.
love Kara as well.
That would be cool, but I'm glad she's Kara for the simple fact of I want to see her in the Supergirl movie.
Yes.
Cast her, please.
I
She was great.
Why wouldn't they?
But anyway, there's not too much else to talk about other than the third act fight
Yeah,
with
let's
the
get-
Kryptonians and Flash and Supergirl, and then the failures and that leading to the time traveling mistakes.
Yeah. Let's
And
get
I-
into it. I first of all, Barry gets his powers back because he tries this weird
Oh, yeah.
contraption with Bruce and it doesn't work great, and so Supergirl comes and lifts him
And that was
into the
Flashpoint.
sky. Yeah, that was great. Uh,
I'm not sure how that works. Maybe Barry got the chemicals splashed on
No.
him and then he went up into the sky. I don't know.
no, it made absolutely no sense, but I still liked it.
Yeah.
There's just something intrinsic about Barry. You know, anyone else that gets struck by lightning, they die. He gets struck by lightning, he gets powers.
Yes.
Any version of Barry.
It's like anyone other than Peter Parker or Miles Morales being bit by a radioactive spider. Any other time you go into, you have a seizure and you just die.
That's just not true. Gwen was bitten by a spider. Penny,
Right,
what's her name,
right.
was bitten by a spider.
Miguel,
A pig was
yeah.
bitten by a spider. You're wrong.
No, no. A spider was bitten by a radioactive pig.
right. Peter Parker. Okay.
Sorry, I had to
We
call
gotta
you
get
out on that.
No. You're right. I was wrong. We need to get off Spider-Man because we always do
Yes.
this. We always start talking about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's great. Anyway,
Yeah.
Another thing, like in concept, I love seeing two Flashes and a Supergirl versus a Kryptonian army.
Yeah.
So good. And most of the time it is really, really cool to look at. I love
It's-
the moment where Barry tells young Barry, "You're ready," and then they zoom off.
Yeah, no, it was sick. I like how they made their lightning distinct. I mean, they've been doing it. Obviously, they do it in the comics and they do it in the Flash TV show. But I was like, good, you remember to do it. Otherwise, I would get
Yes.
confused. Which Barry's running which way?
Who am I looking at? I mean,
There-
there's simple things like young Barry punches a lot of the Kryptonians in the nuts, which I liked.
Yeah,
That's how you kind of,
That's very-
tell them apart.
that's very on brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really sure why Supergirl was like doubling over in pain a lot of the time when she was beating Zod.
Yeah, I don't know
she'd
why.
hit him and then she'd fall over.
Yeah, she
I
fell on her
think
knees. I was like, why? You're
recently,
Supergirl.
or just like in the news, Sasha Kaye has gone out and like said like there was a lot of violence and like maybe some rated R stuff cut out. Maybe that was it.
Oh,
I'm
interesting.
not sure.
I haven't heard that at all. But I don't know. My initial thought is always they made her fall over because she's a girl. They would never make Superman fall over. Let's just
Or
get
at
my
least he
little
would fall over and do, the one knee, the
yeah.
Superman landing.
Not
That's what he
both
would do.
knees, never. Ugh.
Yeah, no, he's not that
Let me get my
weak.
feminism pin. Hold on now. um, but no, it was really good. She and Zod were very clearly equally matched.
Yes.
It was just that for some reason that was a fixed point in that world that she was killed by Zod.
Hmm.
Okay, it's been a long time since I watched Man of Steel. And I don't remember at all Zod wanting Superman because he had special blood. Was that
Oh
from
yeah,
Man of
yeah,
Steel?
yeah.
Okay.
That's from Man of Steel.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay.
That's
Why?
yeah, yeah. I could explain it, or I could just say yes. That is a
Just
plot line
that's
from Man
fine.
of
You don't
Steel.
need to explain it. I've seen it. I just didn't remember that. Um, but no, like my first thought was, well, why would Zor-El put it into his baby in the first place? Obviously, put it into Kara. She's like an adult person. Don't put it into this baby.
Why put it in someone at all?
Yeah, why put it in someone at all? You don't need
We're
to.
we're getting into plot holes that Zack Snyder writes,
Anyway,
which
yeah. Not important. So yeah, it was a fixed point that she die in that world, and that
mhm.
made Barry really angry because, or young
And it,
Barry really angry because young Barry had like a crush on Supergirl or something.
I guess.
I guess like our Barry was upset that Batman died, and he was also upset
Mhm.
that Supergirl died, but mostly Batman. And then the young Barry was like, I have to save Supergirl. She's
And I
hot.
thought
So
both Keaton and Supergirl's death were really quick, and I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna reverse it because that's
yeah,
what Flash does.
yeah.
And I love how the third act is just a big fight that they lose, and both Flashes just keep on trying to fix it and fix it and fix it.
Hmm.
Again, in concept, that is incredible. I love that.
Yeah.
But and then yeah, they go back and they can't quite fix it, and I could not help but laugh in the scene where they first go back and then Barry just on the mic tells Keaton, "Don't go after that ship. It's got a shield." And Keaton's like, "It's fucking all right."
He's like, Roger that. Yeah. I'm like, okay. It was that easy. He was so excited. He's like, I'm going after the big one. When they repeated that line, I was like, yes, you are, Bruce. And he was like, no. And I was like, yeah, don't do that.
He's like, "All right, Roger that."
I was like,
Okay,
okay,
is
if
that
you're
easy?
right, because Batman is so easily, he's so easy to change his mind historically. One thing
Yes.
everyone says about Batman, he's not stubborn at all. So they go into the Speed Force, and then they reverse time. They come back. They die
Mhm.
again. Oh no, they go again. And Barry is like, "Young Barry, you have to stop." That's exactly how it happens. Uh,
Yep.
and he keeps trying to get him stopped, and then Godspeed shows up, and he's
Mhm.
like, "You
And
can't stop this. I am him. I'm covered in shrapnel.
I am him.
I am you." Uh, he has purple lightning, good distinguisher.
Hmm.
This what was it? Yellow, blue, and purple.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I like the artistic choice of the Colosseum. Like it's weird. It's definitely weird,
Hmm.
but so is the movie. And I liked
It's
it. I
it's
thought it
definitely
was cool.
something. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who's listening. I don't think has ever been in the comics. This like Coliseum of Time, and again,
Yeah.
in concept, I do love it, and the fact that each timeline has its own Coliseum or orb.
Yeah.
Love that because
That
I feel
that
like this
they're
is.
specifically different, not just different timelines, they're different worlds. And then
Yes.
it goes back to what Batman was saying earlier, like you get the multiverse, this big bowl of
Hmm.
pasta.
Sometimes there are lines that go right beside each other, and sometimes there are intersections, but
Hmm.
I really like that explanation.
Yeah, and then within those big ass weird looking spheres, there were a bunch of nostalgia
Oh my
punches. There were a
goodness.
bunch of member berries. It was all the old
Member
Superman.
berries.
It was all the old Superman. There was a Supergirl. There was the Flash from the '90s show. There was
We got
uh
to see all the Christopher Reeve, which
yes.
CGI looked a little rough,
It
but
looked weird, but I liked it still. They
and I
all
like
looked
seeing
weird.
Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrick.
I saw Adam West for a second.
Yep.
Loved that.
There was Nicolas Cage from
Okay.
Superman Lives.
Okay. I that's what I was leading up to. Everything
Sorry.
was really kind of fun to look at. But I saw a giant
There was a
spider
giant fucking
and I
spider.
lost my shit. Because I was like, "Oh my god, they're doing it." Burton's Superman with Nick freaking Cage.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, right away I didn't get it because I'd obviously heard of Superman Lives and all that stuff that was the movie that was going to be made. But wasn't starring Nick Cage.
Yeah.
And but in the moment I was just like, what is happening? I wasn't thinking about it. And then afterwards I texted my friend from work and "Oh, it's from Superman Lives." And I was like, that makes so much sense.
Yep. No, I probably couldn't pick my jaw up off the floor after that. Like that's how flabbergasted I was. I saw the giant spider and I knew it was coming, mulleted Superman, and I saw him and he looked a little CGI, but I didn't care.
It was so
I
good.
loved
No,
him.
it was so CGI, but the tousle of the Nicolas Cage hair, it was great.
And could these Supermen have done anything more? Like, not even interacted with any characters. Like, just more than looking at a big blue vortex as it
Yeah, I
collides
was
with
like,
another.
guys, your
Like, you're,
worlds are being destroyed. You're not gonna do
yeah,
anything.
you're just gonna look at it with a serious face.
Okay, I guess it's
Okay.
pretty. There's pretty lights
Yeah.
and stuff. But I really wish we would have got to see other flashes. When they showed Jay Garrick, I was like, where is Grant Gustin? Where
Yeah,
is he?
why
Show him to
not?
me.
Why that really confused
But
me.
no,
Why
they
they
didn't.
didn't.
They didn't get Grant Gustin, and that was sad. But other
I
than
mean, this
that,
is they did throw a whole lot of cameos at the screen,
yeah,
but that was the moment where they honestly should have gone even further. I
yeah.
want to see 20, you
I
know?
want to see every single Flash there's ever been.
If you're going to cash in on dead actors, cash
Yeah.
in.
Pull the Tarkin effect.
Yes.
If you're gonna go
But
Uncanny Valley, go all the way.
but yeah, young Barry sacrifices himself and we've already kind of discussed that. Maybe it could have been better, maybe it was good. You know, it
It's up
doesn't
to
really
you.
matter. Yeah, it's up to the reader,
The
or the
reader.
audience.
It's up to the audience, you know?
But this kind of brings, or it moves on to the next emotional beat, which is Barry saying goodbye to his mom.
Barry has to, in order to put the world back, he has to let his mom die. So he has to go back to the grocery store and put the tomatoes back on the shelf and not in her cart, which is the most simple way of changing the universe ever. And it is so
Yep.
funny that that is the crux of this story.
You describing it makes it sound so silly, but man, this scene hit for me.
Wait,
Like
wait, wait.
I didn't cry or anything,
Yeah.
but I got a little choked
No,
up.
it hit really well, but you know how I can make it sound sillier? In order to save his dad from a lifetime of prison, Barry moves the tomatoes from the bottom shelf to the top shelf.
Okay.
Wow. What arts? Mwah.
Cinema.
Cinema. Yeah, no, but the moment with his mom was great. It showed that, Nora Allen was a perfect person because women
Yeah.
are expected to be perfect people.
Harry Potter's mom.
Yep. Any woman ever in cinema. Anyway, She's super nice to a stranger who's crying, wearing clearly a bunch of stolen clothes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be nice to that person, but you
No,
go,
I would try to
Nora.
run
Yeah,
away,
I'd be like,
but
you're weird. Bye.
I
Don't
guess
go in
she's
my
a better
cart and
person
take
than
my
me.
tomatoes.
I guess she's a better person than
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. She's perfect. That's why she had to die. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
But
she
yeah,
has.
she dies. Barry goes back home, and I thought for sure, like another thing that I was 110% confident about, I thought he would run back in his apartment and he would have a different face, and they just weren't going to
I
explain it.
know, right? That would be so good. But no. That's what we alluded to earlier, that they end this movie ambiguously with Ezra Miller still being the
Clooney.
face of Barry Allen. Oh yeah, Clooney later,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, that's how the movie ends,
yeah, yeah.
ends. But his dad is, his dad is free because he moved the can of tomatoes up a shelf.
Mm-hmm. It's
Again, I'm not
he's
sure how that
crying.
gets his dad off, but
No, it
it
does
does.
because it's
Yay.
because he looks up and the camera can see his face. It's cinema. Um,
Cinema.
no, no, no. It was a good move, you know. I was like, I thought he was just gonna move the camera. I was like, just tilt the
Yeah.
camera a little bit. But no, he moved all of the tomatoes, which is also a choice.
I guess the next big thing to talk about is Barry, walks out. Iris is like, "You should date me." Why? Okay. And
No
then
reason.
Clooney, or he gets a call from Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne says, "Oh, I'm almost there. I'm
He's like,
about to
I'm
step
pulling
out of
up
the car."
now. I'm pulling up
And
now.
they,
That's
on
my George
purpose, kind of
Clooney.
like mute the voice a little, and then Clooney steps out. That's another moment that had me absolutely
That was great.
flabbergasted.
Obviously, we all knew Michael Keaton was going to be in this, and I obviously knew that Batfleck wasn't coming back. I will never stop calling him that. I love it. We obviously all knew he wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
So obviously neither is Henry Cavill. So when Clooney stepped out, I originally thought that it was going to be the next actor who's going to play
Yeah.
Batman, like a young guy. I thought
Yeah.
it was going to be a young guy because they said they're
That's what
going
I
to do a
thought the
younger
reveal was going to
Batman.
be. Yeah.
But no, it's an even older man. It's George Clooney.
So they clearly are not going to do this because cast someone young and unknown that you can spend not too much money on, because Clooney would be way too expensive. Could you imagine Clooney as the next Batman with a billion Robins already out there?
No, I mean, I can imagine it, but I don't want them to do that.
No,
No,
I don't want them to do it either.
that would be crazy. I mean, I think James Gunn could pull it off, but I
Oh
also
yeah.
we have we've talked about this. I want a freaking Robin origin story. We never get them. We never see it except for the Lego Batman movie, which is the best Batman movie of all time.
Yeah.
And we just don't have any sense of any of the Robins. There's obviously in the Lego Batman it's Dick Grayson.
Hmm.
But there's so many more. There's so many great Robin stories that they just haven't tackled yet.
I feel like the fact that The Brave and the Bold is going to be a Damian Wayne story sadly means that they already have to have all the Robins,
Yeah.
unless Damian Wayne is going to be the first Robin,
Well,
but I
unless
don't like
yeah,
that.
unless they're changing things around. Yeah. Maybe George Clooney is gonna be Damien's dad. I don't know.
I
Maybe.
I thought about that when I was walking out the cinema, like for a minute. I was like, maybe, no, but maybe.
Maybe. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? They haven't announced
Mhm.
any casting decisions. They haven't told us anything yet. So we'll just have to wait and see. Uh,
Yeah.
but the end credits scene of the Flash was pretty funny. At
I
least,
think that's also just setting up that Jason Momoa is still playing
of
Aquaman, and
course
he's
he
still
is.
having a good
Of
time.
course he is. And I was like, at least we know Jason Momoa is still around. At least we know
Yes.
Arthur is breathing in this world.
And even the end credit scene is a lot of fun too, of just the perspective of the dog.
Yeah.
as it's falling. I really like that. This movie is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really fun.
That's what it is. It's got some emotional beats and some really weird moments that take you out of it, but overall, it's a really fun couple of hours.
There was a lot of laughs and there was a lot of scenes where I wanted to rip my hair out, but it was still it was an equal amount, so I was fine.
Yeah. Well, this has been an episode of Just Cuz. I hope you enjoyed The Flash as much as we did and have as many thoughts.
Or didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's up to
or
you.
maybe you didn't even watch it and we
Maybe
just
you
spoiled
didn't
the
even watch
entire movie.
That was your choice. You didn't have to click on this video. Get lost.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Or don't. I don't
I
care.
realized we had no spoiler warning in the beginning. Who cares?
I don't think we're going to go forward with having spoiler warnings because why would we? We talk about everything on this podcast. we just talk about the movie. I don't think if you're clicking on this, you should know there are spoilers.
And with that, this has been a baby shower.